So, what happened in Shadowlands that actually matters to playing Dragonflight? Well, the short answer is not very much right now, but there's lots of stuff that it really couldn't hurt to know with today's sponsor. Audible, the place to get your audiobook fix, especially if you're into Warcraft, which I think you might be. You can get War of the Ancients free. Try Audible free for 30 days at audible.com/Bellular or text Bellular to 500 500. War of the Ancients is a foundational Warcraft book. Tells the story of the War of the Ancients, which is one of the most impactful events in the canon, and it's one that Dragonflight has got a very direct connection to. It was during that war that Neltharion betrayed his kin, almost annihilated the Blue Flight, sending Malygos half mad. Obviously that led to the Nexus War and Wrath of the Lich King. I've had Audible for years, and with life being pretty busy, it's great to still be able to read in this way. It's great when I'm taking a walk, driving, leveling up in WoW. Everything that you get with the credits are yours forever, even if you cancel the subscription, which is just brilliant. So get your first audiobook credit for free with a 30-day trial at audible.com/Bellular or text Bellular to 500 500. The biggest revelation in Shadowlands was that these guys aren't actually demons. They're actually gargoyle-looking death spies for this guy, and then not actually that guy, but instead this guy, whose name is Denathrius, but people tend to call him Daddy because they're all deviants. The good news is that he was actually pretty cool, and he'll be back, along with his intergalactic network of spies, at some point. As for what their deal is, they basically help the Legion out so that this guy would die, and in the process of dying, blue screen this robot, sending everyone to Uber Hell so that this guy could get really strong, steal some keys from his family, and then take over Azeroth with a big universe computer thing that was somehow connected to Icecrown Citadel. Yeah. Importantly, Denathrius' lads also have spies in the realm of life, which they consider the most dangerous realm, and there's also this definitely a good guy from Legion, who might be a plant, making him a triple agent and a future plot device. Next, the fact that the Titans weren't actually the creators of everything, but have kind of been trying to take credit. The universe seems to have been put together by a bunch of guys called the First Ones, who made everything with some weird song language and maybe ancient maths, like if Tolkien's god had a protractor. Now, the Titans are all about order, and that makes them not really good guys or bad guys. They're just one of the 6 or so factions that are vying to control the planet of Azeroth, who seems to not actually be a Titan, but maybe be more than a Titan. Maybe is the key to the whole universe. We're not sure why, and the whole thing kind of went over players' heads a bit, so Blizzard are going to tone all that back and focus more on the stuff that we actually care about at home. All the cosmic wizardry is just going to run in the background. Mostly. Maybe. Hopefully. Azeroth may not even be a Titan. It could be that whatever she would be would just be co-opted into being a Titan because Aman'Thul? Maybe? Who knows? Now, a small thing worth knowing is that the Naru got mad as hell at Daddy for sending his spies around the place, so they started a big fight with him, which basically proves that Light is up for a scrap in the big cosmic war. To recap, future expansion hints, that is, life is dangerous for some reason, and Light loves a good old war. The ultimate takeaway from Shadowlands, as it matters to the world itself, is basically there's a big storm coming, and it's beyond anything that we've ever seen. It's something that these First Ones figured out would probably come to, I don't know, eat the universe. This idiot tried to deal with it, but we stopped him because he wanted to use Azeroth's World Soul to sort the problem out, and we would rather he didn't because we quite like living on Azeroth. So with him being dead, we're going to have to deal with it instead, but for now, we're just back in Azeroth chilling. I guess the big change is now that a weird robot isn't in charge of sending people to Turbo Hell anymore, but this dude is, who's kind of just the big softy. Maybe he'll do a better job, or maybe he won't. Maybe we'll never hear from him again. We'll see. That's it for the actual lore that matters, but the interesting stuff going forward is with the cast of characters and what they went through. Tyrande basically had to take a big chill pill. She learned ultimately that an eye for an eye does in fact leave the whole world blind, but more importantly, holding on to revenge and anger kind of sucks, and focusing your energy on forgiveness so that you can actually move on is more productive. She also managed, with our help, to save a bunch of the elves who died in the big fire and went to the Turbo Hell. Not to bring them back to life, more to bring them back to the Night Elf Hippie Forest Heaven, where they can turn into animals and tend trees forever. Some of them were even turned into tortured abominations that we had to kill, so that part kind of sucked. Now, she also got possessed by Elune, who stopped her from killing Sylvanas, and then spoke through her. So because of this, we found out that Elune is probably part of the gods of life, kind of like a Titan, but, you know, life instead of order. Elune basically said that she helped the souls of those who died at Teldrassil go to the Shadowlands, but then she didn't realize that actually they were all being funneled into Turbo Hell instead. Whoops. Night Elves really did get the profound middle finger from Blizzard, as their goddess is apparently a bit dumb, and Teldrassil, I guess, just sort of burned for no reason. We also got hints that Ysera isn't permadead. She's also got a redesign for the Dragonflight loading screens and this gorgeous wallpaper. So there you go. Sylvanas, then, is a tough nut to crack. To say it really quickly, she thought she had a good reason for being an unbelievable asshole for a very long time, but actually it turned out that the jailer was a big ol' liar to her and showed her some cherry-picked parts of how it was really shit to be dead in the Warcraft universe. She was also not entirely herself because actually it turns out the jailer had a whole part of her soul, and that kind of messed her up. Now she's kind of remorseful and repentant about the whole sending everyone to Turbo Hell thing forever, so she's just going to spend the next while rescuing people who were put there by her for atonement. A decent start, but it's really not going to unburn all those elves or unkill Vol'jin. Anduin then went through a bit of an Arthas phase, though mostly because of the jailer's mind control and his fun philosophical chats with Sylvanas, instead of him actually making any form of hard choice. Either way, being a murderer did mess him up real hard, and now he's on a bit of a sabbatical. Maybe he secretly liked being a villain for a change, but whatever it is, he's just chilling in hell with Sylvanas doing some soul searching. Certainly, shippers of these characters are happy, but that's a bit weird. Yeah, that is a bit weird, so I guess your Rathian Anduin ship stocks are down. Bolvar basically didn't do anything in the expansion, but he did apologize to his daughter for being an absent father because he was actually the Lich King for a bit, and now they're on good terms, but it's still a bit awkward. In the future, he'll be chilling out with the Knights of the Ebon Blade and his new horsemen, trying to work out all of the leftover scourge now that there's no Lich King and also no jailer, which shouldn't be a big deal since most of the mindless ones were canonically called back to Icecrown and destroyed. Bane and Thrall were real MVPs for sure. Bane kept his specific piece of the floor warm for the entire of the expansion, and then Thrall threw an axe at Helya, who didn't show up again. So that's those characters. Let's move on. After Shadowlands, we've canonically had a bit of a time skip. It's been a few years of lovely peace times between the Alliance and the Horde. Kinda boring, but actually good, because that room is sort of needed to breathe, and there have been a few neat developments. The Artisans Consortium has been set up so the professions can actually feel like real things in the world, and there's been a bit more of a focus on exploring Azeroth rather than conquering it. The only real big event that there's been is an elf marriage. Two very old people who never had time for love now get to tie their knot, and like all weddings, it does get a bit weird. Despite spending all of Mists of Pandaria in a pub, Rathian has actually found out that he can't really hold his drink, because clearly that's when all of his daddy issues come out and he gets in a bit of a fight with people. Still, I was pretty pleased to know that Rathian is also a big wino. Now, Rathian kind of was off the hook. Everyone said it was fine, you know, wino-driven fights are things that happen, but that's also especially because he fought a guy called Kurog Grim Totem, who was doing the Grim Totem special, being a shit-stirring bastard because everyone with that surname has been a shit-stirring bastard. Another small but key thing is that without Anduin, Tyrande is still in charge of the Alliance and will be for a long time. Absolutely nothing can go wrong with that whatsoever. But I will note, Blizzard had been setting up Tyrande for really just being a big warhawk, but it does seem that in some recent stuff they've kind of toned him down. so who knows? But I'm pretty sure that SI7 are still going to be, like, monitoring the dragons. So, I mean, yeah, he still does have the special sort of secret service doing something. Who knows? The actual expansion lead-in itself is pretty simple. This fella, Koranos, woke up because Azeroth is finally healing after all the shit she's been through, and he turned on the big lighthouse that calls the dragons home. The dragons went home, and then they found out that weird stuff is going on. Like them finding out an entire race of dragon experiments that Deathwing made back when he was kind of reasonable existed but had been locked away and are there somehow. And then that Grim Totem asshole from that wedding earlier on that Rathian got in a wine-driven brawl with, he actually freed Razageth, who's this very large dragon lady who really does not like the Titans whatsoever. She was actually the reason the Deathwing gave in to old god corruption, revealing a huge ancient war between our kind of dragon and this elemental kind of dragon, and blowing entirely open our idea of what could have happened in Azeroth's long ago history that we don't really know about. Just after this went down, Rathian and Abyssian asked the Alliance and the Horde to come and check out their cool new island. And that means a fun expedition instead of a big military expedition, but once we land there, we will have to deal with all the weird shit that's been going down and the way that the island is waking back up, especially with Razageth and her dissident primalist crew threatening the world. Okay, that more or less is you caught up. Anduin is gone for a bit, the future looks rough, but we'll sort that out later. A few elves got married, and the dragons are throwing a very bizarre housewarming that actually involves a ton of old family drama that we get to be stuck in the middle of. There's clearly a lot more to get into, so if you are interested, check out our lore videos from Shadowlands. Perhaps you can listen to a few hours of our lore walking podcast and our big dragon series. In fact, check out this video next if you want to dive into that sweet, sweet lore. See you next time.